The Titanic, the unsinkable ship that sank in the early 1900s, the world was entering a new age of progress. Technology, industry, and travel were advancing at incredible speed. Among these achievements stood one ship that captured the imagination of the world, the RMS Titanic. It was built to be the largest, most luxurious, and safest ship ever made. People called it unsinkable, but just a few days after it set sail, that word would become one of history's greatest ironies. The Titanic was built in Belfast, Ireland, by the White Star Line Company. It stretched about 882 feet long and weighed more than 46,000 tons, a true engineering marvel of its time. On April 10, 1912, it began its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, heading to New York City. On board were over 2,200 passengers and crew, from some of the richest people in the world to immigrants chasing new dreams in America. The ship was a floating palace. It had a swimming pool, gymnasium, fine dining rooms, and grand staircases. First-class passengers lived in pure luxury. But below deck, third-class passengers, mostly families and workers, lived in much simpler quarters. The Titanic symbolized the social divide of that era, where class determined comfort, safety, and privilege. 4 days into its voyage, on the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic was traveling through the icy waters of the North Atlantic. The air was still, the sea calm, and the stars bright. But warnings about icebergs had been coming in all day. Despite this, the ship continued at nearly full speed. Around 11:40 p.m., a lookout spotted an iceberg dead ahead. The crew tried to turn, but it was too late. The Titanic's side scraped along the iceberg, tearing open several of its watertight compartments. At first, many passengers didn't realize the danger. The impact seemed minor, but beneath the surface, water was flooding in rapidly. Within minutes, the ship began to sink. Panic slowly spread as the crew launched lifeboats, but there weren't enough for everyone. The Titanic carried only about half the lifeboats it needed because regulations at the time were outdated, and people believed the ship was unsinkable. As the minutes turned into hours, the situation grew desperate. Distress flares were fired into the night sky. The band continued to play music to calm passengers, even as the deck tilted further into the freezing ocean. Many lifeboats left half empty, while hundreds of people were trapped on board as the ship broke apart. At 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, a.m. on April 15, 1912, the Titanic disappeared beneath the waves. More than 1,500 people lost their lives, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. Only around 700 people survived, rescued hours later by another ship called the Carpathia. The tragedy shocked the world. It led to major changes in maritime safety laws, requiring enough lifeboats for everyone, better communication systems, and constant iceberg patrols in the North Atlantic. The disaster also revealed deep truths about class and human nature, how wealth, courage, and compassion all played roles in who lived and who didn't. For decades, the Titanic lay hidden beneath the ocean floor until it was rediscovered in 1985. The wreck revealed haunting remains, personal items, furniture, and parts of the ship still preserved in the cold, dark depths. Since then, the Titanic has become more than just a shipwreck. It's a symbol of human ambition, pride, and vulnerability. Even today, over a century later, the story of the Titanic still captures hearts and minds. It reminds us that no matter how advanced we become, nature and fate can humble us in an instant. The Titanic wasn't just a ship that sank, it was a lesson written in steel and sea, reminding humanity that true safety doesn't come from what we build, but from what we learn.